welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the Gender Equity Commission for our August 2022 meeting. I am Morgan Overton, Acting Chair of the Gender Equity Commission. And to kick things off, we are going to have roll call. So Commissioner Newman.
Present.
Commissioner Manuel.
Present.
Commissioner Ramey.
Present.
Commissioner Hale.
Present.
Commissioner Davidson.
Present.
Commissioner Overton. So to kick things off, we have some old business of meeting minutes to approve. Thank you, Marcel, our dedicated secretary, for sending along minutes for February, April, May, and June of this year. I believe we have a quorum. We have 9 commissioners, so I think we have over half. Does anybody have any feedback about the minutes, or would we like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty. All right, now new business. So one really exciting update for our community members to know is that Mayor Gainey has announced an initiative for all Pittsburghers, very inclusive of background, lived experience, diversity. We want you to serve on city commissions, boards, and authorities. And you can check this out and apply by going to engage.pittsburghpa.gov/Pittsburgh-volunteer application. And you can put in your passions, areas of interest, whether it's gender equity, zoning, ethics, public art, public housing, you name it. We want to ensure that our commissions, boards, and authorities reflect our constituents. So that is an incredible opportunity to delve into. And also, the mayor is organizing an in-person meeting with the Gender Equity Commission to overview his vision of making the city of Pittsburgh the most welcoming, safe, and thriving city in America. And I think we can get there. But first, we need to talk to our commissioners who have thought expertise in the subject matter of equity and intersectionality to get there. So that is in the works. And then some other business, our committee report outs. Our friend Jaleesa, Commissioner Coffey is out today. So I don't know if there's anybody from the Governance and Leadership Committee here that has any updates that they would like to share. If not, I'll kick it off to Commissioner Manuel for the Workforce Equity Committee.
Well, I want to thank everyone that has attended. We had a great turnout in 2021. Over 350 have been trained. And so we are continuing our efforts in 2022. We are trying something new and exciting, and that is having a lunch and learn. We are asking attendees just to spend their lunch break with us, 1 hour, 12 noon to 1. Our upcoming session is actually tomorrow. You still have time to register. If you do not register for tomorrow, we will have another lunch and learn scheduled for August 31st, 12 noon to 1. You will be able to find all the registration information on the website of the Gender Equity Commission for the city of Pittsburgh. This is the opportunity for us to help address the wage gap that exists for women. It is becoming more prevalent due to the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, women held more positions. Prior to the pandemic, we were making strides on the wage gap. But now that there's a reset, a regression, and so our fight, our focus will continue. And we are inviting everyone to please join us. Experience our lunch and learns, 12 noon to 1. You will learn information that will enhance your, as I state, KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities. You will know that you are valued and that you have worth. But you'll also learn how to articulate your worth. And then you will also learn information on how to research legitimately information that will help you prepare what your salary ask should be. So join us. That is always going to be a great opportunity for everyone. And we've got work to do, but we're not tired. We're just getting started. So thank you.
I love that. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. Thank you, Janet. Judy, would you like to give a Cities for CDAW update?
Yeah, thank you. Pardon me, I'm looking at two different screens here. I don't have the perfect setup. Who does? So Pittsburgh is part of the National United States Cities for CDAW campaign to integrate CDAW, the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the UN Women's Rights Treaty at the municipal level, because the US hasn't ratified that treaty. That national group, Cities for CDAW, has asked for reports from local groups and entities that have been working on this project. And so as a member of the Pittsburgh for CDAW grassroots community group, we provided a report to the Cities for CDAW campaign. It had a few different components. We talked about the fact that we remain active on the Gender Equity Commission, specifically by having a seat representing our group on the commission, and that's the seat that I'm in. Hi. So we've continued to be active on the Gender Equity Commission in the city of Pittsburgh. And we have been also working on some Allegheny County initiatives. We've looked at the Allegheny County Gender and Race Equity Ordinance, and the two reports that are called for in that ordinance and that have been released, one in 2015 and one covering 2015 to 2019. We have also held monthly meetings, although we do have a summer recess right now. So we've held monthly meetings of Pittsburgh and Allegheny for CDAW, and we've had guest speakers, including Susan Fricci from the Women's Law Project, Sarah Goodkind from the Black Girls Equity Alliance and University of Pittsburgh School of Social Work, Department of Sociology, and Megan Rose from the Center for Women in Pittsburgh, from the Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Jewish Women. And we've also done outreach, including some participation with the Pittsburgh Summit Against Racism, the Pittsburgh Human Rights City Alliance, Gwen's Girls, and the Black Girls Equity Alliance, and that we are a project of the Thomas Merton Center. The other thing I want to say about this report for the Cities of CDAW group is that the Gender Equity Commission, us, will be also providing a report on our major activities and accomplishments related to our work for gender justice, and we'll be working on that report to submit later this month. Any questions? Okay, thanks.
So
Thank you.
succinct.
Yep, thanks for giving me
That's
time.
that lawyer in you. Awesome, great. So the next piece on our agenda are upcoming community engagements. For those who don't know, the Netroots Nation Conference will be in Pittsburgh this week. If you don't know, it is a very massive, progressive conference full of activists about issues of our time. I'm very proud to be moderating a panel about the intersections of post-Roe America. That'll be featuring Sydney Etheridge, who's the CEO of Planned Parenthood, Kathy Elliott, incredible activists on the front lines here in Pittsburgh on Friday the 19th. And besides that, there will be the series of Gainey community cookouts happening later this month across the northeast, south, and west of the city of Pittsburgh. So keep a lookout because we're coming to your neighborhood and we want to see all of you. Besides that, are there any other engagements that we as a commission should know about or just for the good of the public? Judy?
There is a Human Rights City Alliance picnic on Sunday, I have to look at a calendar, August 28th. I believe it's from 1 to 4 p.m.
August 28th from 1 to 4 p.m. Thank you. Jesse, you had your hand up.
I thought thought you might all like to know that we are going to be launching the 7th season of the Just Film series, which is a collaboration of 6 different women and girls serving organizations here in Pittsburgh, many of whom have been involved with the Gender Equity Commission. That would be the Black Women's Policy Center, our friend Rochelle, who's joined us for many conversations and has worked with us on pay equity, the Women and Girls Foundation, the YWCA Greater Pittsburgh, Mom's Work, which is powered by NCJW. I hope I haven't left anybody out. There's 6 of us now. In our 7th season, we'll have 3 different screenings of intersectional gender justice documentaries, always followed by a panel discussion and Q&A with the experts in the field related to the film. We'll kick off on September 20th with a film called The Janes, which is of course about abortion rights in the pre-Roe era when young women organized underground abortions, illegal abortions, but safe abortions. So really an important piece of history, but also an inspiring thing for us to be discussing in this post-Roe world. So September 20th will be the kickoff for that. You can come out and join us and all of those women and girls serving organizations. And then to be followed by 2 more intersectional films that pay attention to many different intersections of gender and social justice. So a very good series. You can check it all out online at justfilmspgh.org.
Thank you, Jessie. Anybody else? All right, well, with that being said, I do not want to take any more time away from our guests. Bryn Young from the Black Women's Policy Center joined us a couple of months ago to discuss the incredible work being done with the Women and Girls Foundation, speaking of, and the YWCA to uplift pay equity and the Level Up campaign. And y'all have been just kicking butt out here. And we want to hear all the updates that you've been doing behind the scenes, anything that we should know of the Gender Equity Commission, but also for those who are watching, how can they step up into this moment? So the floor is yours. Thank you.
As always, thank you guys. I appreciate the platform being open to the Level Up Greater Pittsburgh Gender Pay Equity campaign. It's always great to see folks doing similar work and pushing the needle, trying to close the pay gap in the Pittsburgh region. So just a quick update on the Level Up Greater Pittsburgh Gender Pay Equity campaign. We have 3 action items that have come out of the meetings with many of the folks on this call, as well as those from our steering committee meetings. And of those, I believe we discussed last time were the pledge, the employee and employer guidebooks, as well as a success report, which is essentially an annual report card. And of those, we have finished the Gender Pay Equity Pledge, which essentially is, it's a 5-pillar pledge, which we ask large corporations and employers to sign on to essentially, pledge their allegiance whenever it comes to closing that gender pay gap. So unlike last time, we have adopted the 5 pillars, and of those, the first one has to do with pay transparency. So essentially asking an employer to support, promote, and engage in pay transparency anywhere during the hiring process. And unlike the first one that we showed you guys in the draft form, we received a lot of feedback from our steering committee members. And of them being, most of them are employers, large employers. And we noticed that there were some discrepancies with the wording. So we went back and changed that to make it a little bit more inclusive for the employers, as well as still strong for the employees who will rely on the pledge. The second portion asks for the complete elimination of desired salary history questions, which we have seen through reports and various studies that the inclusion of desired salary history questions can actually be harmful to employees early on in the hiring process, and may even discourage them, because a lot of women specifically do not base their worth on their previous salary history, which we know from experience that's not quite fair. The third one asks that employers engage in and committing to company-wide diversity trainings to reduce implicit biases, which we have seen create barriers that are needless. So that one's pretty simple in and of itself. The next one asks that the company undertake an annual review of gender and race pay differences. And this is important just because we want to make sure companies are keeping up with these pillars through and through. There's no gaps, there's no holes. And we want to make sure that everybody, those signing on to the pledge, as well as those benefiting from the pledge, are experiencing positivity all around. And the last one is a little bit more policy focused. We ask that the pledge takers sign on to committing to reviewing their policies and practices within their workplace in compliance with the National Labor Relations Act of 1935. And that is a federal policy that pretty much includes everything that we see here in the rest of the pledge. And it's essentially just tying up all the loose ends. So with that being said, we did release our pledge back, I believe it was on July or June 18th of this year. We had quite a few Black women powerhouses come out and sign on to a symbolic pledge, which was amazing. I think there were about 12 of them. And out of that, we asked that they sign on to a corporate letter that has been sent out to over 250 corporations in the Pittsburgh region. And the reason for that is we are asking them to join us for a roundtable event coming up in September. The purpose of this roundtable will be released more publicly in the coming weeks. And we will be asking a few specific employers to join us just to get the talk going around why it's important to sign on to the pledge and commit to our pillars, and also what this means as an employer, how it benefits the employer, and how it keeps the general atmosphere for employees comfortable and safe. So with that being said, we will also be moving on to, we're still doing a little bit of base research around the success report, which will take on sort of like a KPI report card kind of model. And we are still currently growing our planning committees, as well as getting folks to sign on to the steering committees. That way we have as much feedback as possible. And we've also had talks with state legislators to see if there's anything that, you know, we could help push forward or just be part of as far as closing it at a more policy and legislative base. So outside of that, everything has been going pretty well. We've heard pain points and we've tried to address them, and I believe that we addressed them pretty well. And the ball is still rolling on pushing this this pay gap close, not just narrowing it. So that's a constant reminder that just narrowing it is not, it's not enough anymore, and it never was. So that's pretty much where our campaign is. And as always, if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, wants to join on or sit at any of our meetings, please feel free to reach out to me. I believe Morgan has my email address, as well as any of the items that I talked about here today. And yeah, that's it. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to ensure that, you know, you had a platform to share all the incredible work that you and Rochelle and just everybody who deserves their flowers are up to. And we see you, and just know that you have a partner in this space. And thank you for joining us this afternoon. I appreciate you having time. Yes, Jessie.
Sharing my gratitude as well, but I also had a couple questions. Is that okay?
Yes, I'm going to also be off screen because I'm going to be transient, but yes, go for it.
Transient. We're letting our chair go transient. That's okay. Thank you so much. I mean, obviously this work is really crucial, and we are very involved with the pay equity work in Pittsburgh. I'm looking at Janet as I say that. I know, you know, this has just been a real focus of the commission, and we are very excited to see it moving forward and appreciate your leadership so much. I guess I was curious about two things. They're sort of separate. One was, I noticed that the fourth thing, you talked about 5 things. The fourth thing I think on that list was the report and the reporting out of data. And I'm curious if you could tell us just a little bit more about what you think that might look like. I know when we were initially having the conversations around the Boston model, we went pretty far down a path where we were thinking about how to collect data from companies and scrub it and anonymize it so people would share that data, and then we would make that available for analysis. Is that still the kind of model that's being used, or is this more self-reporting of data? I know there's a lot of sensitivity around sharing of HR data.
So we've heard a little bit of both, and the pros and cons of either of them. And from what we've heard from the steering committee members, the best option would be to continue on with that Boston model and ensure the anonymity of it. Because I mean, if we're being honest, these are employers. You don't want them to feel uncomfortable with any point of the pledge because of competition or anything of that nature. So best case scenario is that we have outside, we leave it up to the employers to have outside sources come in and do the analysis, and they don't have to publish it, with every identifying feature of the company. So I feel like having it based on that model would make the pledge at least more susceptible to being signed, rather than having it be open and we be reporting it out in like any publication sources or anything of that nature. So I definitely think as we stand right now, just because it's not fully completed, but where it is right now, it would be best to keep that comfortability factor there, just to ensure all parties are taken care of and we're actually getting the needle move forward, rather than having to stand at a stalemate and figure out, well, this isn't going to work for one company, but it might work for this one. Just trying to keep everybody comfortable right now. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I remember we had just had so many conversations about how to do that, and whether or not we ought to hire the consulting group that was working with the Boston folks to do that work. And it is a lot of work, so I appreciate that. My second question for you, unrelated to that one, I'm curious if, was there any discussion around using November to mark the pay equity date for all women in Pittsburgh? I know November is when we finally reach pay equity for all Pittsburghers, because that's when Black women in Pittsburgh finally catch up to white men from the previous year, right? Since our local data is unfortunately so much worse than the national data. I know we sometimes talk about August for Black women as the pay equity month. I didn't know if we were going with November. I just wanted to make sure if we were doing anything on the commission that we supported whatever messaging was coming from your work. But again, November being, so much later in the year, and is that a good month for us to talk about pay equity?
I always think November should be, we're in the Pittsburgh region, so recognizing that Black women in general are in August, but realizing that in Pittsburgh, it's in November, that's still a point that we need to focus on. 53 cents to the dollar is ridiculous when you look at it at 62 cents on the dollar for a nationwide statistic. So November is definitely always something that we look at, that I believe all three of the partners look at, especially the Black Women's Policy Center. So anything that we release as far as how pay inequities impact Black women and other women, it's definitely going to be sometime in November. We're just sort of waiting on the specific day. So once that's received, we can probably start publishing more things and, getting people more aware of why that's the day that, has come out of various reports and things like that. So I definitely think we should stick to November being the highlight, especially when it's in reference to Pittsburgh itself. So.
Yeah, thank you. I hope that the commission can help elevate anything that the Level Up campaign is doing. I know our organizations can also perhaps blast things out in November. That might be a good time for that.
Definitely.
And if I could just add for my fellow commissioners, please note that the City of Pittsburgh Gender Equity Commission is represented on this. I have been a participant. And so the questions that you're asking, Jesse, that's why I was nodding, not wanting to answer the question for Bryn, but it's just been a great opportunity to work with these groups of women who have the same focus and objective that our commission has. But do note that there is that established relationship. And so I serve on it, and then I know that Acting Chair Morgan Overton will join in as well. So there has always been representation from the City of Pittsburgh GEC since the onset of this, and that speaks volume of the collaboration and the focus when more than just one area can come together and continue that focus on a mission and continue to drive that message throughout Greater Pittsburgh. So I just wanted to add that.
Thanks, Janet. Sorry, everybody. I'm on my way to introduce Senator Casey at a meet and greet. Does anybody else have any other questions for our guests?
No, good job, good overview. And I think my fellow commissioners will be excited to hear more of what is going to happen and how more organizations throughout Greater Pittsburgh are joining this endeavor. It's a good report, Bryn.
Happily keep everybody updated. I did share with Morgan the various reports that came out of our pledge launch a few months ago. So please take a look at those and see all the amazing women who showed up and showed out. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other announcements for commissioners or for our community members before we adjourn for the day?
If I could just speak on the next training for pay equity or workforce equity. Again, just following up on what Bryn said, we are not trying to narrow the gap. We will close the gap. You can find information on the City of Pittsburgh Gender Equity Commission website. We are conducting free 1-hour lunch and learns, 12 noon to 1. Just spend that 1 hour with us to help increase your knowledge, skills, and abilities on knowing your worth and being able to articulate your worth. So when it comes to compensation, whether you're asking for a pay increase, whether you're asking for a promotion, or you're actually seeking out a new position, we will not narrow, we will close this gap. Join us. The session is scheduled for tomorrow, August 17th, 12 noon to 1. And then we have another session scheduled for August 31st, 12 noon to 1. But you will be able to find all of that registration information on the website for the City of Pittsburgh Gender Equity Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Anybody else for the good of the order? Going once, going twice. Okay, well, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
I second.
All righty, all.
I believe she was asking all in favor. Aye.
Aye.
I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Apologies for being off. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Enjoy this weather and see you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.